that just a few years ago I was on the way to the province in the month of December with my family. We were going to Bill, and I share your affirmation of the wonderful Canada Winter Games that are unfolding in Corner Brook. I was on the way to Marble Mountain for a little bit of a family ski break, and while we were there I got a phone call from Clyde Wells, and Clyde and I stayed in touch on a regular basis 2 or 3 times a week. We had to by virtue of the jobs that we each had to talk about the province, and Clyde told me that he would be stepping down as Premier of the province. And it's the kind of decision that when you make it quickly and clearly and solidly. You don't dilly or dally or talk about it, and once you've made it, you know that your situation profoundly changes. So obviously Clyde hadn't been calling around telling people he was thinking about leaving. He was keeping that to himself, as he should have, and when he decided to go, of course his decision was made, and he shared it with a number of people first, and then within a few days with the public. So Clyde called me, and in telling me that, because he had 2 years left in his mandate, he instantly put before me the question. I had to ask myself, what did I want to do next? Was I interested in taking on this mandate that Clyde had fulfilled for all the years that he had, and attempting to do a job there? And at the time I was a member of Parliament, and had been for 16 years. A member of the Cabinet, a variety of experiences in the House of Commons, in opposition and in government. And I had achieved, just a few years earlier, and anybody who tells you any different in politics isn't telling you the truth, achieved one of my dreams. Remember, it was a very important day, a very exciting day for me and my family after 16 years of politics, serving through the ranks, and being in opposition for most of those years, to finally be called upon at Rideau Hall with some of my colleagues, with Prime Minister Chrétien, to serve in the Cabinet. That felt, I'll tell you honestly, it felt pretty good. And it was something that was a dream for me. So here I am 2 years later, and Clyde is stepping aside, and I have a question to answer. Do I want to take up this role? Do I want to offer myself for this role? Do I want to say to the party that I'd like to serve? And I have to tell you, at that stage, we'd lived in Ottawa, Jodine and I, and we've always considered ourselves a team, for 16 years. Our children, all 3 of them, Heather, who's now 18, and Adam and Jack, who are 16 and 12 respectively, were born in Ottawa. They grew up in Ottawa. They went to school in Ottawa. They were in constant and regular contact with Newfoundland and Labrador by virtue of family and other kind of holidays and visits and trips. But let's face it, these children knew Ottawa as their home. My daughter, who's now at university, had started preschool and was then in grade 10 with her friends. And we were on a ski holiday, as I said, and we reflected, and we went back to Ottawa at the end of that holiday, and I made a decision. I should say we made a decision, the whole family, that we wanted to take up this new challenge. I wanted to at least offer myself as a candidate and see where it took us. And I can tell you, it was a very heart-wrenching moment when my daughter, who's a sweetheart, said to me, "Dad, I thought I was going to graduate with my friends." It was the toughest thing, and the biggest price, or the biggest symbol of the price that families pay for the political careers of those who pursue them at that moment. Now, I tell you this story for a reason. I tell you for this reason. 2.5 years later, and I speak not of political life now, but of family life, and of community, and of place. 2.5 years later, living in Newfoundland and Labrador, living in this community, St. John's, that's where my job is, I want to share with you the powerful feeling of being connected and of being back in the community. Easy for me and Jodine, but new for our children, that my children now feel. Last winter we went back to Ottawa in December. We took them out to the old neighborhood, the 2 boys, and drove around. They saw the old house, saw the old school, visited some of their friends, had a very interesting day. And at the end of the day, we were back in the hotel and they said, "Mom and Dad, let's go home."